Hi there, I'm Latasha, and this is Social Notes. Today we're gonna take a deep dive into 5 headlines I read this week, and I gotta give you guys a warning. One of these is not pleasant to talk about, to say the least. Let's just hop right into it. I'm sure some of you have heard of what they're calling YouTube Adpocalypse 2.0, and it is not a fun topic. So yeah, like I said, definite trigger warning. Maybe want to take your kids out of the room if you're watching this with them. Basically, the long story short, and I'm still learning about this, so I really want to know what you guys think about it in the comments. Disney pulled ads from YouTube recently, along with Epic Games, that's the creator of Fortnite, McDonald's, Nestle, a bunch of big advertisers are pulling ads from the platform again, which, as a lot of us know who are creators, this happened back in 2017 and people freaked out. I created a video about it too. I'm gonna leave that down below if you would like my thoughts on it. The reason this time that they were doing this is because there essentially was a very disgusting, I don't even want to talk too deeply about the contents of it, but something very inappropriate and predatory going on in the comment sections of children's videos or videos with children in them. Just a really weird wormhole is what they're calling it. There was a video by a guy named Matt, I believe, who uncovered this ring, if you will, and essentially what people were doing, if you want to call them people, monsters were doing, is commenting on videos where little children were in compromising positions or, you know, whatever, and time-stamping them or saying really inappropriate things. And it's an issue. Like that's an issue, no matter which way you put it. So advertisers started to hear about this and started pulling ads. In response to this, YouTube has said, and I'm quoting here, "Any content, including comments that endangers minors, is abhorrent, and we have clear policies prohibiting this on YouTube. There's more to be done, and we continue to work to improve and catch abuse more quickly." So one of the things that's happening that's having a lot of creators quite upset is they're banning comments on many videos that are kind of vulnerable to this type of attack, which I think is a step. And I don't want to get too much into my personal feelings here. I just want to tell you guys what's going on, but I think it's a step, but I do think that YouTube needs to do more. And I know that that's a tough thing to do. They're not the police, they're not, you know, they didn't sign up for this, but it's happening, and I think that there is some degree of responsibility. I think in social right now, on really all platforms, we're starting to see this notion of social platforms being responsible for really terrible human behavior, and it's one of those weird things that I think none of these tech founders really thought about when they created these platforms. So what does this mean to you? If you have a channel, maybe you might be seeing things like blocked comments, especially if your content is aimed at young children or features young children, like if you have a family vlog channel or a toy channel or anything like that. So keep that in mind if you're wondering why your comments are getting banned on your channel. You might also see a little bit less money from advertisers in your AdSense account. Now, I haven't noticed anything like this yet, and I haven't heard a big uproar about this quite yet, but this is something that did happen in 2017 when that adpocalypse happened. So it's just something to keep an eye out, especially if your content is targeted towards that demographic. So kind of related to this in a way, but a little less disturbing. Twitter is actually testing a way for users to hide their replies to their tweets, which I'm really excited about, because if you are a social media manager who handles a lot of comments coming through on Twitter, especially when it comes to like customer service type things, there can be abusive comments sometimes, or, you know, inappropriate comments or negative comments that maybe you do or do not want to respond to, but you don't want to be publicly posted right underneath your tweet. I know that this has happened to me many times before. I'll pin a nice tweet to the top of a Twitter feed and somebody leaves a really disrespectful comment, and it kind of ruins things because you obviously don't want to showcase that at the top of your feed. So hiding comments has been available on Facebook for a really long time. Now, what's cool about hiding comments, at least when it comes to Facebook, is that you click hide, the commenter can still see their comment, their friends can still see their comment, so you're not deleting it, you're not removing it and saying, hey, we don't care about you, essentially, but you're hiding it so that any new visitors and, you know, the public won't see that abusive or rude or negative comment. So Twitter is testing this, and I think it is a really good idea for customer service, and I'm excited about it in a way, but I also, going back to the whole YouTube thing, I do worry a bit that, is this Twitter's way of responding to some of the very negative criticism that they've received recently about allowing hate speech on their platform and things like that? I think that Twitter has done some things to remove people like that and hate speech across, you know, all walks of life, but there definitely are still a lot of nasty people on Twitter, and I hope that they're still trying to address that and not just hoping that hiding comments is going to be a cure-all. So what does this mean for you? If you manage a client's customer service interactions through Twitter, this is good news, I would say, and let's just keep an eye on when it's rolling out. Another platform test on Instagram. So Instagram is continuing to invest in their live streaming features, and some users have reported seeing titles being tested on Instagram Lives. So this has not been confirmed yet by Instagram, and it's just been based on a few beta app testers, but I'm pretty excited about this news because right now live videos are very vague. You know, it'll just tell you, hey, so-and-so is going live, but what does that mean? Is she going live to do a tutorial? Is she going live at an event, at a conference? And I haven't been a stranger to saying that I'm not a fan of live videos, and this is one of the big reasons why. It's like you never know what you're gonna get. So I think titles could really increase live streaming viewership, and it might also help with searchability and audience discovery. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Hopping back over to Twitter, Twitter recently released a major events calendar for the month of March. They do this every month, and I do find these calendars really helpful. Even if you're not active on Twitter, if you're just active on social media, I definitely recommend downloading those and checking out what they recommend as topics to talk about for the month. So if you're stuck with a client's content calendar, definitely check out Twitter's. They give you some really good ideas. All these links will be listed in the description box, so you can check out these links and download them for yourself. But even more exciting to me is Twitter also announced that they have released a podcast. It's called Character Count, and I have not listened to it yet, but I definitely will be giving it a listen over this next week and letting you know what I think of it. But that's exciting, and more exciting than the content itself. I think it really signals an excitement about podcasts right now, even from brands. I definitely see more and more branded podcasts in our future. A lot of companies are doing this now where they're releasing a podcast, not called the Twitter podcast necessarily, but it'll just be like a social media tip podcast hosted by Twitter. And I think it's a really brilliant marketing strategy, and I'm excited to introduce this strategy to my clients. I'm looking forward to helping my clients launch podcasts of their own and just get thinking about different content distribution methods. So for you, if you're a social media manager or even just a creator in general, now is really the time. I really think we have reached the golden age of podcasting, and I think now is the time to start it. Don't wait too long. Don't hang yourself up. Start a podcast. Encourage your clients to start podcasts if they're interested in content. You know, if they've expressed interest in YouTube, but maybe it's not realistic for them yet because it's so resource heavy, maybe introduce the idea of a podcast. I think branded podcasts are really having a moment right now, and it's a good time to get into it. I will be launching Podcasting Week in a couple of weeks here, where I kind of go over everything you need to know to get a podcast off the ground too. So stay tuned for that. If you actually want to click on the link in my description box, you can sign up to get email notifications when Podcasting Week launches, and I'll send you an email each day that it comes out, so you don't need to check back on YouTube. You'll just get the episodes delivered straight to your inbox. Now, number 5, related to podcasting. This is kind of not really social media related, I guess. Podcasting is one of those weird things that kind of falls in between worlds, but I figured I'd talk about it because it was pretty big news in the podcasting world. So Apple walks back a statement after freaking out podcasters. Apple sent an email this past week to podcast creators suggesting that episode titles with numbers in them may result in podcasts being removed from the Apple library. And of course, people freaked out because there are many people who have been numbering their podcasts since day one and are on podcast number 300. I personally do that as well. I just launched episode number 50 yesterday, and I kind of panicked a little bit, not really. I mean, I had a feeling that they weren't gonna start mass deleting people immediately, but I did go through and delete my numbers in my podcast, which was a bit of a pain. It took a little while for 50 whole episodes, but it's fine. They actually came back, I think the next day, and said that while it discourages numbers in podcast titles, it will not be removing people from the library. So podcasters, rest easy. But I think what this means for you is that if you are in the new stages of your podcast, or even just if you've had a podcast for a while, just stop doing the numbers just to be safe, because we never know if they are going to turn this into an actual rule, and they clearly discourage it. And I want to stay on Apple's good side because I personally want my episodes to reach, you know, the top of that Apple algorithm. So for now, I'm gonna kind of do what they say. All right, so that's it. Those are the 5 biggest social stories that I've read this week. Let me know if you have heard any other news that is worth talking about. I'd love it if you commented down below and let me know what you're excited about, what you're scared about, what you're angry about. I know I'm angry about that first story for sure. And if you're enjoying this series, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up and subscribe. I do post videos every single week about social media freelancing and a little bit of other fun stuff too. So I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching.